My ex-wife came out as lesbian and left me and my daughters 3 years ago, and now she's back. So how do I start this? Well, 3 years ago, my wife came out as lesbian. We've been together for many years. In fact, our oldest daughter was 14 at the time, and my youngest was 10. Our life was good. Both me and my wife worked, so we had stable finances, and I thought we were happy. That was until one evening, my wife sat us down and explained that she was in love with a female colleague from her workplace and that she wants to be with her. She said she was sorry, but she had to find out who she was, and that would only be possible if she'd left her old life behind herself. Blah, blah. The typical breakup nonsense. On that day, she left us and cut the contact. For me and my daughters, the world fell apart. I knew that I now had to take care of my daughters all by myself. I was in a state of depression for a long time, but I kept fighting for my daughters. Every attempt to contact my ex-wife failed. Luckily, I found a much better paying job that made it possible for me to give them the world. My daughters had good grades in school, and I knew that our life would soon be better again. But once in a while, when I took my youngest daughter to bed, she asked if I would leave them like Mom. I hugged her and gave her a kiss on the forehead and promised her that I would never leave them and that I loved them more than anything in the world. I was so angry at my ex-wife because she was the one that gave her those feelings. I wonder if she ever realized what she had done to our daughters. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. My daughters and I sat in the living room and I told them that because Christmas month was already next month, they should write down what they want for Christmas. My oldest daughter is now 17 and my youngest is now 13. While they were busy writing, the doorbell rang, and I wondered who it was. When I opened the door, I froze in shock. It was my ex-wife with a big smile on her face. She said she was happy to see me, and she tried to hug me, but I refused to hug her. My oldest daughter then came up behind me and asked me who it was, and when she saw her mother, her face expression immediately changed. I've never seen her so angry. My ex-wife tried to apologize and she wanted to hug her, but my daughter pushed her away and shouted at her to leave and that she never ever wants to see her again. Then my youngest daughter also joined us. She just got angry too, turned around and went to her bedroom. Then my oldest one followed her to comfort her. From the look on her face, I figured she was ashamed, as she should be. I asked what she wanted. She said that the last 3 years weren't good years for her. She constantly thought of her daughters and wanted to see them again, but for some reason she never came by because she was expecting this exact response from them. But she guessed that she deserved this. She asked if I could talk to them. I told her that I could tell them she was sorry and let them decide, but I will not push them into doing anything they don't want to. She was okay with that and left. She also left me her new number to contact her. I then got into my daughter's room. She cried in the arms of her older sister. I told them what their mother has told me. I told them that if they'd want to meet her, they could do that. It would be okay for me. My oldest daughter said that she cannot forgive her for doing what she did, and that I was everything they need. It felt good to hear this. Really good. I always thought that being a single parent would mean that I might never be enough for my children. Hearing this made me so happy. My youngest daughter then said that she always thought she missed her mother, but now that she had seen her again, she never wants to see her again. I texted my ex-wife about that. She read it, but she didn't respond. But she didn't give up that easily. She showed to our house once more while my daughters played ping pong outside. I was in the living room watching TV when I suddenly heard loud shouting outside of the house. I immediately got there and I saw my oldest daughter arguing with my ex-wife. My oldest daughter shouted at her that she had no idea what she did to me. She told her about how depressed I was and everything I went through. This was kind of surprising because I wanted my daughters to feel secure with me, so I've never told them of my depression and the suffering I went through. Then she continued how she felt over the years knowing that her mother left her and that she'll never forgive her. My 13-year-old was crying while that happened, so I hugged and comforted her, but I also don't want it to interfere because if my oldest daughter wanted to tell her mother anything, I'm not going to stop her just to protect my ex-wife's feelings. Overall, she never cared about our feelings either. After she was done, she came hugging me as well, and I told my ex-wife she should leave us alone once and for all. If she ever showed up here again, we get a restraining order. She left with tears in her eyes. Well, that was 3 days ago, and she hasn't showed up again so far. I just hope she leaves us alone. My daughters made it very clear they don't want to have anything to do with her. I wanted to give them the opportunity to meet their mother again, because if there is any chance that my children have a mother again, I don't want to stay in their way. But I'm glad they didn't give her the chance. I don't know if it makes me a bad person to think this, but I also don't think that my ex-wife deserves to be with her daughters again, so I hope the last encounter delivered the message. Update: she appeared again, but luckily not at home. I think about what's the best way to describe what happened today. Let's just say it could also be a part of one of those bad-written, stereotypical drama series. My younger daughter came home today with a mad look on her face, and when I asked what was wrong, she started to explain. It all started when my younger daughter got out of school today. Usually she just walks home, but this time my ex-wife waited for her at the exit. She tried to ghost her, but she was stubborn and refused to let her go. Just like that, she offered her a ride home. My daughter refused, but she insisted. She prepared herself for running away, but before she could, my ex-wife made her an offer. She would give her a ride home and would try to explain everything to her. And if she still don't want to see her again, she'll never show up again. My daughter figured that this could be the best opportunity to get rid of her, so she accepted. Now, here comes the interesting part. She wouldn't drive her home exactly. She just drove around the town for a while telling her story. According to my daughter, she broke up with her girlfriend after 1 year of her relationship with the coworker because they had too much different interests. She said that while she tried to live her life, she constantly had her daughters in her mind. She said she went no contact because she deleted the numbers, and she hoped that this would help her starting a new life with her girlfriend. She spent the last 2 years in a depression because she figured she couldn't live without her babies around, and that she deeply regrets leaving them, and that her life was a total mess. She could understand if my daughters hated her, but she would try to make everything right if they just gave her the chance. And then my daughter basically How I Met Your Mothered her and asked her that what would have happened if her relationship and her life were successful, and if her and her older sister are just the consolation prize. Quick intervention from me at this point. I was so proud of my daughter at that moment. She is 13 and yet she is so mature and intelligent. I love her. My daughter told me that this question made her really mad, and apparently she accused me of poisoning them against her. Funny, because I never talked bad about her with my daughter. Of course I was angry for a long time, so I said a few bad things about her to my coworkers, but never to my daughters. She is still the mother of my children overall. My daughter said that when she got out of the car, she affirmed her will of never seeing her again, and my ex-wife just nodded. And then she drove away. My daughter asked me if we could do anything, so she stays away because she doesn't expect her to keep her promise. I called for my older daughter, and my younger daughter explained her what happened as well. Then I asked them if I should get the restraining order, and I explained them what that would mean and what would happen then, and they said yes. So, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I know that a few people might think it's harsh, but it's not like I didn't warn her. If anything happens again, I'll keep you updated.